Welcome back, True Seeker. Shout out to Jeff Young. He asked me to cover this tragic passing of John Sykes, the guitarist of Thin Lizzy and Whitesnake. Of course, Jeff Young, guitarist himself, made his name with the band Megadeth and is still making his name, making his own music that's underappreciated. And again, shout out to Jeff Young. You guys should check out his radio program, Music Without Boundaries. Again, he's been promoting this knowledge on his own show and elsewhere since 2015. But yeah, the story is that John Sykes died from cancer, and he died at 65. And we've talked about that number 65 a good deal over the years with musicians. Again, if you're new here, gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. For you people in the UK, stop and listen to the song Murder by Numbers by The Police. Or if you're anywhere in the world for that matter, stop and listen to that song about how killing's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3, and it's the sport of the elected. There's a song from the American band Slipknot, Gematria, the killing name. In Gematria, music equals 65, guitarist equals 65, and in this case, United Kingdom equals 65, because that's where John Sykes is from. And the day he died, January 20th, that's the 201st day of the nation's age over here in the U.S. Of course, his music's big over here in the States, where we speak English, which came from the United Kingdom. But throughout the world, it's written 20/1 like 201. And something very interesting about the 201 and his death is that he died 322 days after the anniversary of the Thunder and Lightning album by Thin Lizzy. And 322 and 201 are two related numbers for multiple reasons. For one, the Illuminati. Founder of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, died on the 322nd day of the year, 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. And the Illuminati, one of these Kabbalistic secret societies. Again, Kabbalah is mostly associated with Judaism. In Gematria, Jewish mysticism equals 201. The most prominent thing in Jewish mysticism is Kabbalah, where the tree of life has 3 pillars and 22 paths. That's why Genesis 3:22 mentions the tree of life and knowing good and evil. Again, there's a good half and an evil half to Kabbalah. I think you know what half we're talking about here. Again, 201, very special number to the Jesuits. Again, the Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit. The Jesuit order equals 201, like Order of Illuminati. The Holy Bible equals 201. And Kabbalah is centered on the first 5 books of the Bible. And within those first 5 books, there's Genesis 46 about sacrifice. And notice, 322 days is also 46 weeks. Genesis 46 is about sacrifice. The word sacrifice equals 46 in Gematria. And the day he died, or at least the day that the news broke, January 20th, 25, it had an abbreviated date numerology of 46. Now notice from his own birthday, July 29th, to his passing was 175 days, or that's 25 weeks. The rock star dead exactly 25 weeks after his birthday to start 2025. Death equals 25, like rock, like time. And there's a number of other things that are interesting here too. If you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology. He's also died 62 days shy of the 38th anniversary of Whitesnake's self-titled album. Sacrifice also equals 62, and death also equals 38. The word murder is 38, so is the word killing, so is the word RIP. And again, if you look up the murder movie poster for Murder by Numbers, they code the E into a 3 and a B into a 8, so you have a 3-8 in the word murder by numbers. The title, I should say. Again, show business is deadly business, and 65, not all that long to live. And again, just so precise. 25 weeks after his birthday. So RIP to John Sykes. And if you're new here, You should look more into this knowledge because pretty much all your favorite stars, especially the ones that went at very young ages, you can see the redundant patterns in these same numbers we're talking about here. We're talking about all the time. Until next time, True Seeker. Welcome back, True Seeker. More tragedy right before Super Bowl 59. This time it's a young reporter for Telemundo, Kansas City, dead for unexplained reasons while covering the upcoming Super Bowl in the hosting city, which just suffered the tragedy on New Year's Day before Georgia, Notre Dame. People say I talk too fast, so I'm going to go through this little story here slower than Luka Doncic on the basketball court, slower than the Marshmallow Man through the Big Apple. Notice the reporter, Aidan Manzano, is dead at 27. And of course, there's that thing out there, the 27 Club. And things like this start to make a lot more sense when you know about gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, where the word ritual equates to 27. And notice Mr. Manzano died yesterday, Wednesday, February 5th, a date that can be written 2/5 or 5/2. You might recall that was the day in history that Tom Brady had the 25-point comeback on the Falcons to become 5-2 in Super Bowls. In gematria, Falcons equals 25, like Pope, like Trump. Trump had just become president and said he was cheering for Tom Brady and the Patriots, said he was friends with Bill Belichick. That was the 97th NFL season. Bill Belichick equals 97. 97's the 25th prime. The Pope blessed that Super Bowl, partly because Matt Ryan was in it, who went to Boston College, the Jesuit school, when Pope Francis is the first Jesuit Pope. And of course, Tom Brady once got his hand kissed by the prior, actually two popes prior, Pope John Paul II, who was the Pope when Brady started his reign after 9/11 and the Patriot Act. Talk about ritual. But okay, dead at 27 on a date that can be written 5-2. The Chiefs, who he covers, their next playoff win is 27. You might recall last year in the Super Bowl representing Missouri, the 24th state. They got their 24th playoff win at the start of 2024. But their next playoff win is 27, and they're currently 4-2 in Super Bowls. They're going to have their 7th appearance in this one. If they're 4-2, how could their record end up like the date, 5th day of 2nd month? And let's not forget what happened to poor Kobe Bryant right before this run began in Super Bowl 54, when Kobe Bean Bryant equals 54 and Kobe Bryant alone equals 41, like his age of death. As you can see, Telemundo equates with Wednesday, 37-44. As you can see, Adam Manzano, if you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. As you can see, Adam Manzano equates to 104-58. Last year, the Chiefs won Super Bowl 58 to conclude the 104th season, a season synced with Taylor Allison Swift, where her name equals 104 and her surname alone equals 58. You can also see that his name equates to 193, the 44th prime number, going with Telemundo and Wednesday. And you can also see that his name equals 41, like Super Bowl. Again, also like Kobe Bryant. A reminder that Mahomes is 3-1 in Super Bowls himself right now, trying to do what Kobe did, three-peating. Kobe did it with his coach Phil Jackson, who has the same birthday as Mahomes, September 17th. The man the term three-peat is associated with is Pat Riley, another Patrick. But yeah, year after year, things like this. And no, this doesn't mean go bet your house on the Chiefs. But year after year, these things happen and the games unfold by the numbers as anticipated. And again, the greater takeaway is they're killing people for these games ritualistically. And sadly, there will be more before the game and after the game. And it'll be obvious, just like this one. So hopefully that was slow enough for the average person out there. RIP to Aiden Manzano. And until next time, True Seeker. Why does it matter that Joe Biden tested negative for coronavirus on a date with 56 numerology 37 weeks after his birthday? It's because in the language of gematria, coronavirus equals 56 and virus equals 37. We had the latest nuclear scare after the shelling at the Zaporizhzhia plant. Learn gematria, see through the rituals. Till next time. Welcome back, True Seeker. Just want to make sure you caught that on August 6, 2022, the 77-year anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency addressed the world about the potential nuclear disaster coming in Ukraine. True to form, Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian split August 5th, 2022, Davidson's 263rd day of his age, the 56th prime number corresponding with the gematria Kim Kardashian. Learn the code, see through the rituals on the daily. Riddle me this. How come every single photo of Anne Heche's bizarre car crash story was sure to show you that she was loaded into ambulance number 63? Learn gematria. When you know gematria, you see through the script. 42 days after the Roe v. Wade decision, Indiana becomes the first state to nearly ban abortions. In gematria, Roe v. Wade equals 42 like Freemason and Jesuit, and again, the decision was on Masonry's birthday. On August 5th, a date written 5/8 like Trump, the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election, who announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower, on this day, CNN said it was a grave moment. Recall this story from 2016. In light of a Wisconsin couple being killed on their 56th wedding anniversary in D.C. when lightning struck near the White House on Obama's birthday, when Barak means lightning in Hebrew, notice this also happened Easter Sunday on Barak's 263rd day of his age, the 56th prime. Welcome back, True Seeker. It is the weekend of Tisha B'Av 2022, the Jewish holy day to remember the destruction of the two temples, and as usual, the Islamic populations of Israel are being terrorized for this time. Welcome back, True Seeker. The Jesuit control of crypto is becoming more obvious. BlackRock, the big partner of the Jesuit-controlled World Economic Forum with Klaus Schwab, is partnered with Coinbase on 84. Of course, 84 is arguably the biggest Jesuit number. Recall, Trump won the 58th presidential election after announcing he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower, and that was years after the huge 58 ritual with the Sandy Hook shooting. Well, notice on 5/8, Trump's in his grave moment, and Alex Jones is paying 45. In Hebrew, Barak means lightning, and on Barack Obama's birthday, lightning hit the White House, killing a couple from Wisconsin. Notice in gematria, Hebrew practice, lightning, Joe Biden, Wisconsin, and James Mueller all equate to 44, like number 40. Welcome back, True Seeker. RIP to Olivia Newton-John, who's reportedly passed from cancer. Of course, she's remembered for Grease, which came out June 1978, 44 years ago. And in gematria, kill, cancer, and chemo all equate. Welcome back, True Seeker. Kelly Preston died July 12, 2020, the day leaving 172 days left in the year. And now, Olivia Newton-John is dead on John Travolta's 172nd day of his age. Learn gematria. Recall when John Travolta's ex, Kelly Preston, died 145 days after his birthday. Now Olivia Newton-John, his co-star from Grease, is dead on August 8th, the day leaving 145 days left in the year. Welcome back, True Seeker. Every year on August 8th, there's a big Donald Trump story, and today he becomes the first former president to be raided by the feds. Again, it's 8/8, the 220th day of the year. Learn gematria. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. More tragedy in the news. This time it's 24-year-old South Korean movie star Kim Se-ron, reportedly found dead in her own home by her friend yesterday, Sunday, February 16th. Today they put out the cause of death, saying it's a self-deletion. And remember the word for that for whatever social media doesn't allow you to say, because we live in that goofy of an age. Again, suicide. That word has a gematria value of 47, going with that being the supposed cause of death, which happened on the 47th day of the year, again, February 16th. The cause of death is put out on the date that we circled at the beginning of the year. We circled the kill dates for each respective month. It happens once a month. What the kill date is when the numerology aligns with the gematria, meaning the numerical value of the word kill. If you're new here, the English language, this code's used worldwide. Again, the Gregorian calendar and the English language as we know it were implemented at the end of the 16th century. They were literally a system implemented by the Jesuits, and we'll get to just how Jesuit her death is. But again, the four base ciphers of the language, the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. Using these four systems, kill equates to 17, 28, 44, and 64. The news comes on the 17th of the month on a date having numerology of 28, 44, and 64. The way you get those values is with the different paths. One path is adding the day plus the month plus the year digit by digit. So 2 plus 17 is 19, plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 is 9 more for 28. Another way is adding 2 plus 17 plus 20 plus 25, which adds up to 64. And the abbreviated path is just 2 plus 17 plus 25, which is 44. So there's a day each month where you'll have at least 3 of the 4 values for kill. Next month, it will be March 16th. Then it'll be April 15th. Then May 14th, and so on and so forth. And keep in mind, May 14th is Israel's birthday, and they've been on a killing spree by the numbers, but that's a whole nother story. Keep in mind, Israel equates to 28, 44, and 64 like kill. But anyhow, that's pretty much all that nation's done since it was implemented. Military murder state paid for by U.S. taxpayers. But anyway, this woman was born on July 31st, which is the feast date for Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits. That's the day in history he died. From her birthday to her date of death was her 201st day of her age. Again, the Jesuits are very much about this number 201. Their entire history is defined by 201. Again, I cover this almost every day on this channel if you're new here. But to make a long story short, we're living in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. He's the first Jesuit Pope and the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. Again, his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, equates to 201, just like Ignatius of Loyola equates to 201, who was the founder of the Jesuits, just like the Jesuit order equates to 201. And keep in mind, Order of Illuminati also equates to 201, and that was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt back in 1776, May 1st, 1776. So very Jesuit number 201. She's dead on the 201st day of her age and has a very Jesuit birthday. Now, on top of that, her debut film released on May 20th at Cannes. Cannes, the French Film Festival. The Jesuits are from France. May 20th is Cannonball Day, the day that the Jesuits remember in history for Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball, which changed his life, which made him go on from a soldier to more of a spiritual leader, the thing that made him go on to create the Jesuit order. And keep in mind, the news comes on the 48th day of the year. The word Illuminati alone is 48. So is Hollywood. Order of Illuminati does equate to 201 and 105. Her name, Kim Se-ron, also equates to 105. And from the anniversary of the film's release to her passing is 38 weeks and days. Death, murder, killing, RIP, they all equate to 38. You look up the movie poster for Murder by Numbers, the film, you'll see how they code a 38 right into the words. Look it up. The film was Sandra Bullock. Murder equals 38 and 83. The song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. about how killing's the sport of the elite. But yeah, R.I.P. to this young woman. And sadly, there's a story like this every single month on the kill date. And so often the cause of death, it's a lie. I mean, why would a beautiful young girl with everything going for her just end herself? I mean, please. Please, the world needs to wake up. And again, tonight, there will be a debate. It starts at 6:15 p.m. Pacific. 6:15, that's 6:15 p.m. Pacific, 9:15 Eastern. I will be debating a so-called Christian who says there's no point in knowing this information. Do you think Jesus would agree with that? You think Jesus would be like, yeah, there's no point in knowing about a very useful knowledge that can be applied to just about everything to shed more light on the world and a million other things as we'll get into. But yeah, so supposed Christian says there's no point in knowing this. And I guarantee he won't say a peep about this today. Just like he's never said a peep about any of these celebrities getting murdered in the world. Something more people should be speaking up about. All right, Truth Seeker. Until next time. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In the headlines, February 4th, 2025, the death of Tiger Woods' mother. Of course, today is the day of Rosa Parks' birthday in history. Big part of Black History Month. Of course, Tiger Woods, big part of Black history, broke the racial barrier in golf. And I want to show you what this has to do with the Masters that Tiger won in 97, his first Masters. Of course, he won his last by the master numbers. You might recall he won his last Masters in 2019, 22 years after his first and 11 years after his last major. Of course, the master numbers are 22 and 11. But again, 97, the year he won his first, that's the 25th prime number, and his mom is dead at the start of 2025. Already a big pattern this year, 97, 25. We just talked about this with Too Short's brother, the LA fires, a number of other things, the plane crashes. But Tiger's mother, Coltida, has that gematria 24. In the U.S., we write the date 2/4 like 24. Kind of like Jackie Robinson, number 42, lost his son at 24. The numbers are reflections of each other. And a lot of the world writes today 4/2. Slavery, February, history, Tuskegee, the N-word, a lot of things connected to Black history equate to 42. Don't forget, Tiger Woods has that December 30th birthday, just like LeBron, the only day of the calendar year where if you add the day and month together, 12 plus 30 is 42. Notice how his mother's name overlaps with sacrifice and ritual sacrifice. Coltida Woods equals 46 and 170, like sacrifice. In Genesis 46 is about sacrifice. Coltida Woods also equates to 154, like ritual sacrifice. Ritual sacrifice is 251, the 54th prime, like Tiger Woods equals 54. I'm sure you remember his supposed car crash from the 54th day of the year that injured his legs, which is part of the reason he hasn't won anything since. But the upcoming Masters this year will end on April 13th. That's 68 days from today. And golf equals 68. And caskets go 6 feet deep and are 8 feet long. And Tiger's 49 years old right now, like Masters is 49. And again, he won that first one in 97, the 25th prime, only to lose his mom this year, 2025. And it's just part of a long old history. Wrote the book about this in 2017, about the killing of celebrities that are Black or connected to people who are Black. In Tiger Woods' case, his mother's Thai, but he is the Black celebrity. But yeah, Letters and Numbers, my first book, 18th chapter, about the ritual killing and the ritual humiliation of Black celebrities in the pattern of 42. And you might also have seen that Michael Jordan's son got a DUI and is in the news today. And I'm going to cover that one in the next short video. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Hopefully these short videos reach more people. Until next time, Truth Seeker. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It's almost unbelievable. In the headlines today, February 7th, Maria von Braun, wife of Dr. Warner von Braun, has died. So this news breaks today on the 38th day of the year. As we know in Gematria, death, murder, killing, R.I.P., they all equate to 38. Election also equates to 38. There's that song, Murder by Numbers, where killing's the sport of the elected. Despite this news breaking today, look at what day Warner von Braun's wife reportedly passed. She reportedly passed on Inauguration Day. And don't forget, this nation's capital is on the 38th parallel north. As it says, the U.S. Space and Rocket Center has announced that Maria von Braun, the wife of Dr. Warner von Braun, has passed away at age 96. The Rocket Center said that Maria von Braun passed away on January 20th, 2025 at her home in Alexandria, Virginia. Now, what did I say was curious about Elon Musk's salute on the same day? Remember, I did a video showing how it was no doubt a tribute to Warner von Braun, the Nazi who wrote the book Project Mars, where the lead character is the Elon. And again, that book was published in English in the year 1953, like how Elon Musk is 53 years old right now. And in case you missed this post from January 20th, notice it was the 207th day of Elon's age that he did his little salute, which there's a debate. Was it a Roman salute or was it a Nazi salute? Again, the Nazi salute's just a variation of the Roman salute. Yes, it is true that back in the day when they would have children do the Pledge of Allegiance, they would do the Roman salute. Again, all roads do lead to Rome. This country, Nazis and more. And don't forget, they brought the Nazis over here by the numbers. We'll get into that again one more time. But again, Elon's little ritual that no doubt paid tribute to the Nazis and Warner von Braun, who wrote the book that invented the character that he portrays on the world stage. And yes, that's exactly what he is, a character. He's on Twitter right now playing video games while he's supposedly running the federal government, a rocket company, a car company, a satellite company, and everything else. Yet has all this time to play video games. Anyway, it was the 207th day of his age on Inauguration Day. Warner von Braun in Gematria equates to 207. If you're new here, this practice of coding numbers into words comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah. And in the English language, there's 4 base ciphers. The alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26. The reverse alphabetic order, Z is 1 back to A is 26. And both orders with numerology applied. And some other things I'd like to remind about are that January 20th is the 201st day of the nation's age. Project Paperclip is when the Nazis were brought over from Germany to the U.S. That began July 20th, 1945, the 201st day of the nation's age. Again, if you're new here, the Nazis were modeled after the Jesuits. The Jesuit order equates to 201. It's a huge number with the Jesuits, from their founder to the first Jesuit pope to a million things in between and since. Again, if you're new here, I talk about the Jesuits and 201 all the time. And the Illuminati as well, which was founded by a Jesuit who died 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment, when Order of Illuminati equates to 201 like the Jesuit order. Also like Adolphus Hitler, the name of short mustache man on his birth certificate. But yes, January 20th, written 20/1, like 201 in the majority of the world, is the 201st day of the U.S.'s age. When you measure from July 4th to January 20th, that's the 201st day of the nation's age. Again, the capital wasn't always Washington, D.C. That's where the Jesuits set up camp. Inauguration Day wasn't always the 201st day of the nation's age. The Jesuits changed it to that because they run this nation. That's why they do all these perfect rituals, paying tribute to the same number. And, you know, I had a number of people come and knock what I said about Elon Musk and the tribute to Warner von Braun. I hope those same people who came and left all their derogatory comments can now see that Warner von Braun's wife died on the exact same day. And you have to be a major league coincidence theorist to call it a coincidence. Again, Warner von Braun, instrumental in NASA. He had a lot to do with the moon landing on the 201st day of the year. And don't forget that Neil Alden Armstrong also equates to 201. From Project Paperclip to the moon landing was 24 years on the nose. In Gematria, Nazis equals 24. And think about what year it was when this group of people got elected into office, the end of 2024. Also not an accident. As for her dying at 96, NASA is very Masonic. Modern Freemasonry has a lot to do with the Jesuits. The word Freemason equates to 96. Remember, Donald Trump, first election was that he won in 2016 was the 58th. Freemasonry equates to 58. The first degree of Freemasonry is the apprentice. Just a little bit on how all these things tie together. But the real big piece here is just that she died the day of the salute. And they waited to tell us until the 38th day of the year. Again, Germany equals 38. So does death, murder, killing, RIP, election. All those words individually equate to 38. And by the way, another story that's in the world is a popular reggae musician in France is dead today at 34. Remember, murder equals 38, and when you run it the other way, it equals 34. Reggae also equals 34. Keep in mind, this comes right after Bob Marley's birthday anniversary. But yeah, every year on this date, February 7th, there's all kinds of suspicious deaths. The 34-year-old in France, the reggae musicians, the most suspicious in the headlines. And it's very possible that in the days that follow, there'll be more deaths, news that was released from people who did pass on this day. So RIP to Maria von Braun. And again, don't forget that Elon Musk is just a puppet. He's no doubt just a puppet. To remind you of one other total Jesuit tribute with him, the day that he was declared the world's richest man for the first time ever was the 78th death anniversary of Nikola Tesla. That was January 7th, 2021. Tesla died January 7th, 1943. But 78 years matters because Jesuit equals 78, Tesla equals 78. And again, now he's joined forces with Puppet Trump, also Jesuit educated, at age 78. Remember, his first day in office, he got rid of 78 Joe Biden executive actions when Biden's also Jesuit educated and took office at age 78. But yeah, I'd encourage everyone to go back and watch the video I did on this on January 20th. Again, there's a lot to it. 47 years since Wernher von Braun died. Mars has a 47-year orbital cycle. Of course, this is the election of number 47. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Project Mars has a lot of overlap with Donald Trump. Musk's ritual was 159 days before his own birthday, like Project Mars and Donald Trump. That's a big number of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which shows the In Merum de Gloriam motto with the Jesuits. So, yeah, I'd go back and revisit the January 20th post. And again, if you're somebody who sits on the fence waiting until there's just enough evidence for you to be convinced that what we're teaching here day in and day out is correct. I mean, I don't know what more evidence you need. You should have been convinced a million years ago, really. But yeah, this one's just nasty. This one is just nasty. We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Thank you again to everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Get a load of this. Just in, Elon Musk's Doge launches probe into U.S. SEC Ripple lawsuit. Is it to end? And what was revealed in Doge's findings is that 201 pages of an SEC document was withheld. It says the Doge SEC account has gained attention for its call to action, encouraging individuals in an X post to share insights regarding SEC-related misconduct. Coinbase's chief legal officer, Paul Grewal, responded to the initiative, suggesting that defendants who successfully challenge SEC lawsuits should be reimbursed for their legal fees. Others in the crypto community have pointed to specific concerns, including the SEC's withholding of 201 responsive documents related to communications with JP Morgan about Ripple and XRP. Now, years ago, we covered the 201 connection to XRP, aka the Ripple coin, in regards to the SEC's lawsuit of Ripple. And if you're new here and you don't know about 201, it's about time to get caught up on what you've been missing out. 201 is the number of the Jesuit order and the Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, who died in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. And I've been saying for years, XRP could be the future of currency. I was saying that back when it was worth 40 cents. Since Trump took office, and we'll get to why it has surged once Puppet Trump's in there, Jesuit educated, but it surged to over $3. Right now it's just under $3. It's up over 5 times just since the election. But again, if you're new here, gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. I've been educating about how the whole world of crypto, if you know this code, it goes with markets too. It's not just crypto. It goes with rigged sports games. Again, this is the Cabal code. English is the language that was made the language of the world. At the same time, the calendar that we say, today is February 19th, 2025. The same calendar, the same language were put out as a system by the Cabal at the same time at the end of the 16th century. If you doubt that, you should look into it because it's an absolute fact. And history has been rolling out by this code. And again, the game is rigged by this code. You can see who really runs this whole crypto scam, the market scam. It's all the scam, and you want to take advantage of it is the thing. But anyway, 201's been all over XRP. We've been talking about it for a long time now. This goes back to 2020. Again, XRP is known as the Ripple coin, which in gematria equates to 201, just like the Jesuit order equates to 201. Again, there's a super long history with the Jesuits in 201, and it's why it's encoded in the title Order of Illuminati, which was founded again by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. But look at this. The head of the SEC at the time, when he filed the lawsuit against XRP, his birthday was July 11th, right? And from the date of the suit, which was filed December 22nd, 2020, to his upcoming birthday was 201 days. So he filed the suit 201 days before his upcoming birthday. And again, now here we are years later, right? That was back in 2020. Now here we are years later. It's the same number. And realize this is coming from the other Jesuit puppet stooge, Elon Musk, who's participated in a number of 201 rituals, just like Donald Trump has. R.I.P. to Donald Trump's ex-wife, buried on the 201st day of the year after she died exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year, later in the day that Trump had announced he'd be running in the upcoming election, which was the 60th. And not to mention they had their first child together on the 201st day of Trump's age, and also they were married in a church with the gematria 201, where the leader of the ceremony's name was 201. And it's the same thing for Joe Biden and all these stooges that end up in the capital city, which is also known as the Jesuit city. Of course, that's the reason George Washington goes down in the history book as the first recognized president, because he took office 2 months after Jesuit Georgetown was established, Georgetown being the nation's first Jesuit university. But anyway, coming back to this 201 thing, just to remind you about some other things going on with the world of crypto in 201. Bob Lee was killed in 2023 in a major Jesuit ritual. And then after his death, and after we called out the Jesuit ritual with his killing, they had to announce, well, here, I'll go back and rewind what they did to Bob Lee in case you forgot. But they launched the FedNow a system which is tailored towards digital currencies and cryptocurrencies as the government becomes more involved with the world of crypto. But they launched this on July 20th, 2023, the 201st day of the year, a year to the day. Trump's wife was buried exactly 1 year earlier. Of course, that's the day in history of the moon landing, when Neil Alden Armstrong also equals 201. Again, the illuminated object in the sky, the moon, in Hebrew gematria, 201 has to do with illumination, being in the knowledge. But yeah, this happened after Bob Lee was murdered. And Bob Lee's kind of like the guy who invented digital currency was Square and Cash App. And remember, after Bob Lee was murdered in the Jesuit ritual, sometime after he was killed, they had to come out and show you that his killer lived in apartment 201. And that's par for the course. Those Kings Road killing at University of Idaho, they had to show you the killer lived in apartment 201. And it's really part of a long pattern. If you forgot what they did to Bob Lee, go back and look, you guys. It was the Ides of March. It was the Ides of March that the Federal Reserve said they're going to begin certifying the FedNow system the first week of April. That was put on the Ides of March. Remember the stabbing of Caesar in 44 BC. And then on April 4th, the first week of April, Bob Lee was stabbed to death. Remember, kill equals 44 like execution. So while they're certifying the FedNow system, the guy who is like the godfather of digital currency just happens to get stabbed to death after the Fed's Ides of March announcement. And then, after they tell you he dies at the hands of a guy who lives in apartment 201, later that year, they're like, oh, guess what? The FedNow system's ready on the 201st day of the year. And if you're the guy out there that keeps sending me emails about, you're wrong, Zach, like crypto's going to save us. It's just, all this is a coincidence. It's not controlled by the Jesuits. You're right, the government is and the news is, but not crypto. Dude, pull your head out of your butt. Your lungs must be full of doo-doo. Come on, man. You think all this stuff's a coincidence? You got to be a special kind of dumb. And a lot of people are. By the way, here's the way XRP's surged since Trump came into office. And don't forget, they announced Dogecoin surges. All of this stuff is nothing but ritual. Very few people control the wealth of this world, and that's why they can manipulate markets as hard as they do. Us little peons, we could ride the wave, But anyway, XRP was worth 51 cents the day of the rig selection, which we told you years in advance why it'd be for Trump. And again, that's the power of this knowledge. Cleveland equals 78. Trump's the new split term president, like Grover Cleveland, when he had his 2016 convention in Cleveland. People leave clues all over. But anyway, cryptocurrency also equals 78. And, crypto skyrocketed when Trump first took office, and it's cooled off since then. Again, these things go in waves. It's just like stocks. Up, surge, they come back down a little bit. You buy on the dip, they go back up, dip. That's the way markets work. But yeah, the reason we've been knowing XRP is bound to be something eventually is because of all the people that sit on the board of that currency, and also the fact that they keep doing these Illuminati rituals with it, and they put the 201 code on it. Again, 201 is the Illuminati, which is the Jesuit network. And again, the Jesuits, right in the middle of their logo is the Templar cross. The Templars are the original bankers. So again, if you can put two and two together, it should all be adding up for you. And I'll tell you what, personally, it's in some ways I'm going through a moral dilemma because I knew XRP was going to surge at some point, and I still haven't invested a single penny into it just because I haven't invested a single penny into any of these currencies. And I've given the world a lot of exact calls on Bitcoin over the years and really great calls. I still haven't invested a penny myself because I just don't want to be part of this digital system. I know this is how they're luring us into it, but at some point we'll probably all be forced into it anyway. So I don't know. I'll continue to think about what's morally the right move. But again, I don't judge other people. And again, when you invest in things, you shouldn't be investing money that you don't have to invest, just like you shouldn't be betting money you don't have to bet. When you invest in markets and things like stocks and even crypto, You should be prepared to ride it out for the long haul. Because I'll also remind you about this. I thought XRP was going to surge like it is now in 2022, and it didn't. It just stayed flat. It stayed flat at about 40 cents for years. But you know what? If you threw 10 G's down back then, and you were able to just sit on those 10 G's, that they surged up to about 50 G's within days of Trump taking office. Right now they're at about 45. And I know a lot of people in this community did do that, but they had to wait a long time to get a return. And I think in all likelihood, someday you'll look at this XRP thing and you'll be like, man, can you believe it used to be $2? Can you believe it used to be 40 cents? So, yeah, again, do some research on XRP. There's a lot of big names that sit on the board of this thing. And again, everything I'm showing you here about the ritualism going on with it, the fake lawsuit. And that's what this is at the end of the day. That's why it's all ritualism. And what were people saying back then years ago? They're like, I'm not even sure XRP is going to last. The feds are cracking down. I was like, yeah, but did you see the ritual with it? Did you see the names on the board? Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Till next time. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. The world is a strange place. If you guys caught Jonathan and I's live stream the night of the Grammys, we talked about how the week ahead would likely be connected to hip-hop deaths in light of Kendrick Lamar taking the top honors, in light of it being the 67th Grammys, a very fateful number connected to blood sacrifices. And the very next day, you had the death of the ex of the female rapper out of Maryland. And then a few days later, it was Irv Gotti, a Murder, Inc. And we announced that night that we want to have Jonathan's new book finished and ready for pre-order by March 9th in tribute to the death of Notorious B.I.G. And now here we are approaching that March 9th deadline. And who's dead? Notorious B.I.G.'s mother. And I say I got the wrong story up here. Let me correct that. If you're interested in that Elon Musk story, we covered that earlier. But Voletta Wallace, dead at 78 on the anniversary, the 60th anniversary of Malcolm X's assassination. And again, if you're new here, we talk about Gematria. There's a song out there, Gematria, the killing name. There's another song out there about Gematria, Murder by Numbers, where killing's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. I want to show you everything that's suspicious about her passing during Black History Month, close to the anniversary of her son's death. Again, he died March 9th, 97, shortly after Tupac died on September 13th, Caesar Borgia's birthday, which is also the anniversary of Ready to Die, Notorious B.I.G.'s first album coming out. Of course, Notorious B.I.G. had a lot of aliases. But notice, his mother, Voletta Wallace, her birthday was the day after the 67th Grammys. And we said to look for a death that day in the world of hip-hop because it's the 34th day of the year, and rapper equals 34 like murder. Also like Maryland, it was the anniversary of the Ravens winning the Super Bowl at 34 points on the 34th day of the year. You got the female rapper out of Maryland, her ex killed, and his name equaled 34. We covered that February 3rd. In light of the 67 piece, again, I'm always reminding, all of this goes back to the Jesuits. They run the show. Today is the 67th day of the Pope's age. She's dead shortly after the 67th Grammys, again, where a hip-hop star took top honors. But notice she's dead 18 days after her birthday. If you're new here, the four base ciphers of the English language, the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You can see how hip-hop equals 18. You can also see how B.I.G. literally equals 18 in 3 out of the four base ciphers. There's not a lot of words that are the exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. That is very rare. So she's dead 18 days after her birthday, February 3rd. She's dead on the 52nd day of the year. Biggie Smalls, one of his aliases, her son, 52, just like his first album, Ready to Die, 52. Remember, they put out Life After Death right after he died. He was known as Notorious B.I.G. Notorious alone is 52. Keep in mind, Notorious is also 97 in the base ciphers, like how he died in 97. 97 is the 25th prime, and now his mom's dead in 2025. From the anniversary of Ready to Die coming out, September 13th, 94, to her death is exactly 23 weeks. Voletta, 23. Her birthday is February 3rd, can be written 2-3. From Notorious B.I.G.'s birthday anniversary, May 21st, to the death span of 277 days, the 59th prime number. Bad Boy Records, 59. Number stamped all over Black History, including Black History Month ending on the 59th day of the year, including Motown coming out in 59. You remember when the more recent CEO of Motown died at 59 and it was announced at a Bad Boy Records party? That was about 4 or 5 years back. Go back and check that out. But again, in this code, slave, Negro, Rasta, Blues, they all equal 59. The first black president, his Secret Service name, Renegade, 59. Also, from her death to her son's death anniversary, it's a span of 17 days. It'd be 16 days later or a span of 17 days. 59 is the 17th prime number. Rap equals 17. Of course, he died on March 9th. Biggie, another alias of his. Biggie equals 39 like New York. Run it in reverse. Biggie and New York, both 33. And you could also say the day he died can be written 9/3 as the majority of the world writes it, like 93. Remember, Black History Month equals 93. We talked about the only female to participate in the 52 Olympics for track and field, how she died last night. Of course, she was black, died on the 93rd day of her age. But we were talking about Black History Month in 93 last night. Notice Malcolm X, 93. She's dead on the 60th anniversary of his passing. I'm guessing there's probably a lot more to this because I just did a very quick decode because I have to be somewhere. But this is the breaking news and wanted to get out at least this much information. And again, RIP. And this is what Jonathan and I were talking about, Black History Month, 67th Grammys, hip-hop takes the top honors. We thought there'd be a number of hip-hop related deaths. If you're new here, rapper equals murder. Irv Gotti died in a major murder ritual synced up with the real Murder Inc. in history. Murder equals 83. He died 83 years after the real Murder Inc. in history died. If you missed that, that was earlier this month. But yeah, the hits just keep on coming. Again, show business is deadly business. Thank you again to everyone who helped spread the word about this work. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Again, RIP to Valletta Wallace. And until next time, Truth Seeker.